Uh-oh. It's time for another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. Good morning,
Oh,
Peter.
morning, Bill. Morning, everybody.
Here we go. We have throat clearing issues this morning, the two of us, right? Episode number 356. 356. What does that mean to you, Mr. Mrs. Listener? That means at least 356 hours of creative real estate training for free.
Oh, it's like Christmas every week.
Yeah, exactly. Today's title of the podcast is Today's Rookie Proven New $1 Million Blueprint in Creative Real Estate. Here is the description.
Okay.
Do $1 Million real estate entrepreneurs actually think differently when doing deals? This podcast episode will challenge this one question so you can break free from any traditional thinking or myths you might have collected along the way. Most don't consider or actually explore how easy it could be until you break it down like we do in this simple conversation. Once you hear and see how you don't really need a deep dive into theory, deal structure, mindset, or capital to acquire $1 million plus portfolio, you will want to get started right away after listening to this episode. The insight you are about to gain is all you will need to jumpstart any portfolio size, even if it's zero. Whether you are a seasoned real estate entrepreneur or a rookie, you will achieve what it takes to get a boost in your real estate portfolio quickly after spending the entire 60 minutes with us today. Don't miss this opportunity to embrace the formula that will give you all the confidence you need to getting $1 million plus portfolio soon. Let's get started on transforming your wealth right now.
Amen.
So before we get started, we need to do some housekeeping type things. First of all, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you for all of our support. I think we've got almost a few million, like 2 million downloads. I really appreciate that. I mean, I think it's 1.8, almost 1.8 million, something like that. So we definitely have a bunch of listeners. Like I said, 356 episodes. We keep doing it. Here's the deal. In the chat or wherever, not the chat, I keep saying that, in the description, there's a link of every episode that will give you tools to help you with whatever we're talking about on the episode. Now, obviously, I don't have 356 tools, so there are some that have changed. There are revisions. Realize that the earlier ones, we've learned things from them, from A, doing them, and B, probably the most important thing that I can say about my career is that by coaching so many people, because I have my own coaching group. I coach for another guy that's been around for 40 years. And I have a software called Creative REI Reply that we do a coaching call every week on. So what that means is I get a lot of feedback from you people, from you listeners, not you people, but from entrepreneurs. And I get a lot of feedback. And so things have changed through time, right? So make sure you go in the description and get that link. Make sure you subscribe to us so you know when we're on the air, because sometimes we do, I'll do other meetings. Like last night we did a whole Subject 2 event, which was freaking awesome. I think we had a couple hundred people on the call. It was amazing. I broke down how to do Subject 2 deals, which you would know if you're on my email list. So make sure you go to Flipping Houses for Rookies and just go to any one of the products. There's a free course on the top. There's a free course on the bottom. There's a whole page called free stuff. There's like 25 or 26 things that are for free. So make sure you go over there and check things out. And of course, you can be part of this podcast if you go onto Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter on Thursday mornings around 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can just, wherever that platform will allow you to type things, you can send us a message, and I get them right on the screen while we're doing the podcast. Just be careful, because I only answer questions on the podcast about the podcast. If for some reason you have other questions, you can go to WhatsApp Messenger, and you can go to Flipping Houses for Rookies, or you can go to flippinghouses4rookies.com, and just top right hand side, you can send in a support ticket. That ticket comes to me personally. So if you have a question for myself or Peter, just let me know, and we will respond. Sometimes I call people, sometimes I answer on a podcast. It depends on what the question is. Okay. Whew. Damn.
You got it.
That was almost a whole podcast.
You should record that.
Yeah, and not have to do it anymore. You're right. I should.
I'm thinking we should make a little bit. Now, a word from our sponsors.
Yeah.
And just Emma plugged in every week. We'll say 3 minutes a week.
That's an interesting point. I don't want to waste time on this, but that's an interesting point, Peter, because I personally, I think you would agree with me because you're here. I personally take major, major pride in the fact that we've done 356 podcasts with no sponsors and very few, less than a handful of speakers. And we talk about creative real estate, all different angles, all different ways, negotiating and how to get leads. And, there's just so much data here. I couldn't even, I can't, it overwhelms me. And I wrote all the content. It takes about 5 or 6 hours of my time a week, or 4 or 5 hours per week to do this. And honestly, you are the same. We do this out of the kindness of our heart. There is no, it's not a vehicle. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I mean, of course there's links in the chat, and half the time I give it away at cost, and because you're here, but it's just a way of us getting out there and helping people. You can't imagine that once you start getting successful, it's lonely at the top by yourself. So one of the reasons, and you and I talked about this a very long time ago, like I was struggling with that because I had done a bunch of deals, and I stopped doing deals because it was boring. It's like, I can't really tell anybody what I'm doing, because first of all, they don't understand. And second of all, they just think that you're making millions of dollars. And next thing you know, they're asking you if you can buy them a car, so it's like not fun, right? All right, so here we go. Today's rookie proven $1 million blueprint in creative real estate. And you're going to be disappointed, I promise you. It's not anything special. There's no unknown secrets or hidden secrets. There's not some data under a rock. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to rattle their cage. I'm going to rattle your cage, Peter, and I'm going to rattle everybody else's cages.
Okay.
Because we're not thinking like this. Now, I don't know if we're going to do it next week or the week after, but one of the podcasts that I'm going to do next is talking about your parameters, like what you're willing to do and not willing to do. And then I'm going to do another podcast, and I'm not sure what order they're in. I'm going to do another podcast on the story you're telling yourself. And they go together.
Yeah, no, sounds like they would. Yeah.
So I'm gonna wrap up 2 hours with the podcast in 2 words. Acceptance level. What is your acceptance level? What are you telling yourself?
Yeah.
And what are the parameters you're setting for yourself? So I want you to understand that I'm going to talk about that stuff, just not today. I want you to know that that's in the background. It's going to be the next couple of podcasts. It's kind of like a little mini series. And I promise to put you in Bill's head. And Bill's head is not different than, and I feel like I'm really shitty at it. I feel like I can be doing way more than what I'm doing. Right. So anyway, do $1 million real estate entrepreneurs actually think differently when doing deals? My answer is yes. But it's not catastrophic. It's not like they needed a lifetime and they grew up from rich parents, or they were on the right side of the tracks, or like they were born with it. I will tell you, I was not. We were poor as hell when we were kids. My mother and father would grocery shop once a month. And the last week, and we were not allowed to go in the refrigerator unless we got permission from my mom or my dad.
Wow.
Okay. And we scavenged the last week of the month, we scavenged food.
Wow.
Okay. So that was my, when I was 10, 11 years old, 12 years old, we were poor.
Hmm.
Okay. So I did not come from money. My dad had some very interesting ideas about money, right?
Mhm.
So I want to start off this way, Peter, right? So, as the famous Shakespeare Hamlet's speech asked the question, to be or not to be.
Yeah.
So, just so you understand what I'm doing, the Hamlet and the in his play, Hamlet in the state of shock and grief as he discovered that his father had been murdered by his uncle in act number 3. He thinks about whether he should face life's hardships ahead. Face life's hardships head on or end them by dying.
Ew.
So that's the Shakespeare's play. Like, should I face these hardships, like confront them, or should I just kill myself? Right?
Yep.
And here we are at a similar impasse. Right? With many listeners asking themselves to be real estate millionaires, the question is to be or not to be.
Mm.
Hardship or walk away.
Yeah.
On the topic of being a real estate millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you may not think that the way I just thought of it, but I promise you it's in your subconscious mind. And I promise you, probably one of the best podcasts. This is in my universe so freaking bad right now. The story you tell yourself. And I'm going to cover that in great deal. It's going to be probably one of the most passionate podcasts I could ever do, because I've had major development in my own mind on this. Okay. So let's be honest. Before making such a major decision like be or not to be, I beg you to stick with us to the end of today's episode for your final decisions. But first, let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Yeah, there's an elephant, huh?
Which, by the way, I'm using that term and I'm assuming everybody knows, but you know me, I like to break things down so they're so simple you can't hardly discredit it, because it's just it's because you understand it. It's just a knowingness at that point, right?
Yeah.
So a pink elephant means a major problem or controversial issue that is obviously present but often avoided as a subject for discussion, only because it's more comfortable to not talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's a major problem or controversial issue that is obviously present but often avoided as a subject for discussion, only because it is more comfortable not to talk about it.
That's right. How good does that work out?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ignoring things.
Mm-hmm.
And here's that non-confrontable issue for everyone that is a non-real estate millionaire. Getting on the phone and actually talking to sellers yourself. Now, this is interesting that things always work this way for me in my life. It's like I wrote this podcast probably before I came to Florida, weeks ago. 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, I wrote this podcast. And I review them and I go over them and anyway, so it's not hard because it's all coming out of my head anyways, right? But here's my point. I told you last night we did I did a whole training on subject 2. I broke it down so you can understand it. It was fabulous, right? And I'm not saying that because I thought it was fabulous. I'm telling you that because we had a few hundred people.
Yeah, and you're getting feedback.
And we're getting feedback, right? So In the chat, somebody writes, "Well, I wanted how something like, what do I have to do to make a deal a deal a day, a deal a week, or a deal a month?"
Mm-hmm.
That was the question, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
And I pulled the guy out of the crowd and I said to him, whatever his name was, "Do you have a mic?" And he's like, "No." I'm like, "Okay, so here's my question. I can't answer your question because it's confusing to me. So here's what you need to do is you need to put in the chat, how many offers did you make in the last 7 days?"
Mm-hmm.
He went radio silent. And I kept calling him, "Are you there? Are you there?" Right. So finally, 10 minutes later, he answered me and he's like, "Well, my problem is I don't have leads." I'm like, aha.
Okay.
So there you go. So to me, in my mind, if you have a seesaw, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the middle is the thing they call the fulcrum, right? Which is the point that the seesaw rocks on.
Yeah.
I
The
look at
balance point.
right. I look at that seesaw and I see the fulcrum, and the fulcrum in the middle is the offer.
Okay.
So if you can't make an offer, to the left of that is all the things about, lists and finding leads and, scripts and all that kind of stuff, like getting to a point where you can make an offer. To
Right.
the right of that is, once you make the offer, getting the deal done.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a major crucial point on, am I going to be a millionaire? So my answer is, okay, so, and this podcast is not about that, by the way. This is just, my point is that I think to myself, I want to buy a new car.
Mm-hmm.
Where can I find a deal to buy a car?
Right.
First thing I think of is, well, I haven't made an offer. And I'm telling you right now, I have not made an offer in 2 months. Me personally, because I've been in Florida for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm coming back to do it. I can promise you that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But the point is I start thinking to myself, okay, I got to get the offers going again. Where can I make an offer? Right. And I put my attention on the offer.
Yeah.
Like, how can I make an offer today? Which, go ahead.
You know, it's interesting that you say that, because I've been in different kinds of businesses, and as you described it, the fulcrum, that's the thing you're trying to get to that gets you over the hump, right? But how many
it's people, the balancing point. So if you want that seesaw to balance and make it flow easily, you got to balance it, right?
Right. But how many people start at one side and just work on scripts and just work on leads and just. And I've done a lot of similar studies. And the thing is, if you sat down at your desk, you can sit there and do marketing and things, or is there someone I can make an offer to?
Right.
Go, wait a minute, do I have something hanging from last week or last month? Is there something right in front of me that I can just do?
Oh, this is interesting you bring this up, Peter, because you're right. I wasn't even talking about that. So make an offer. That's a very valuable point there, Peter. Thank you for bringing that up.
Mm-hmm.
Make an offer.
Yep.
What does that mean? I didn't say find a new prospect and make an offer to that prospect. Doesn't mean, it means that you could go back to somebody you talked to 6 weeks ago and they said no, and today you can call them up and say, hey, make an offer. It could be 35 to 40% of our deals come from follow-up. So make an offer could be from the past.
Yep.
Like, what did I tell you the other day when we talked on the phone? I said, hey, you remember that 6-family house in Hartford? Right? And you were like, what was the guy's name?
Cashmere.
And I'm like, yeah, him. And what did I tell you? You should call him up and see what happened to that house.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's making an offer.
Mm-hmm.
It's an easy one. You already know the guy. You already talked to him. You're already like, that's the easiest way to do it. Now, I don't want to dwell on this too much because this is not what today's podcast is about. But I will tell you that is the starting point. And when I get to the podcast of telling yourself your story, or listening to your own stories and believing them is more like it, you're going to start to break some of those stories you're telling yourself. Well, I can't make an offer because I have a job. I can't make an offer because I don't have money. I can't make an offer. I can't make an offer. My wife, my kids, my father, I don't have any time. These are all stories you're telling yourself and you're believing them.
Well, they're pretty damn good excuses. Come on.
Right. Excuses.
Yeah.
Okay. So, anyways, let's just move on because that is not what today's about. Uh, you making deals is not about time, lead flow, deal structuring, or even the paperwork. Only because once you find a motivated seller, because that's all you're looking for. If you dial the phone enough, you'll find a motivated seller.
Mm-hmm.
They're willing to let you fumble.
Yep.
They're willing to let you still keep playing the game even though you fumbled.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are a light and shining honor for them. So, again, I'm going to talk about this in the next couple. I can't help myself because I just hope by the time I get home, I'm just as passionate about this as when I write the podcast. But, I was a huge impetus of creative REI Replay. You know that because you know me for years and I talked to you about it.
Mm-hmm.
I was a major impetus in that. Now I have partners, I have coders and Sean and David and Susan and support and marketing, and I'm good at all that stuff, but we've agreed that each one has their own job, right?
Yeah.
But one thing that I started with, remember I told you about the parameters, and we're going to talk about that. Like what will you allow yourself to do and not do, right? So here's the point. I devised that with this one thought in mind. What if I had a product that helped people so much that it was my moral obligation to sell it to everybody because of its impact in their life? And that's how that software was designed. And here it is less than 8-10 months later, and it's surpassed that. It's starting to go viral because of that. Because the impact, people come in that have never done a deal, and within weeks they're doing deals. Sean told me yesterday, because he goes through, we have access to everybody's accounts, and he goes through looking for problems and trying to fix them. He told me, he said, Bill, he said, I can't believe it. He says, I was in an account today. Now we actually have AI in there now, so the software actually answers texts. It sends messages. It's all, the only thing you need to do in Creative REI Replay right now is show up and do your appointments. We make the appointments for you. He said one guy, I'm not going to tell you who it was, had 36 appointments. He's been in the system for 10 days. Now, not everybody's like that because, certain areas have certain, whatever. The point is that's changing somebody's life. I've got coaching clients that been with me for years and haven't done anything, that are all over me right now because now they got appointments and they need to know what to do. And I've been trying to get them for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, trying to get them to call somebody, and I couldn't get them to do it. Okay. So anyways, once you find a motivated seller, it's hard to resist it. If you have your phone saying to you, you have an appointment with somebody who wants to talk to you about Creative REI Replay, all the things I just talked about, the paperwork and the leads and the deal structuring will go away. And it's because you firmly positioned yourself to just think about an offer. Where can I make an offer? You will not buy a piece of real estate without an offer. So if you're not doing that, you're screwed. And once you make your first offer, you do another one, and then another one, and then another one. And it becomes a game of how many offers can I make, right?
Yep.
So let's move on because I babbled too much here and we're way off schedule as usual. Today, I'd like to talk straight truth about let me get this straight here. Straight truth. I want this to resonate with our listeners, so it's hard to resist being a creative real estate millionaire. Okay? So the first thing you need to know after what I just told you with offers is this. There's only 2 types of deals that make you a millionaire. Only 2 types of deals that make you a millionaire. Only 2.
Okay.
1, buying a property substantially under market value, or buying a property at market value or just below on terms.
Yep.
There are no other ways. So why are you off trying to find all these different ways, right?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the definition of terms is really time.
Yes.
Right? Or a seller allowing you to make monthly payments or take over their payments.
Right.
Until it's paid off.
Mm-hmm.
Is this making sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're breaking it down to the two things that work. I saw somebody somewhere online trying to make a deal with a house. I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, why is he asking like if this is good? He was buying it with negative equity and negative cash flow. I'm looking at it like, am I missing something here? And he had
you're
to pay
missing
a lot
something. It was in California.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do in California.
Well, I wouldn't do it anyway. Negative equity, negative cash flow, and you had to put a bunch of money in to start out with. Like, I didn't understand it. And
Right.
if it comes up later, you can explain it to me if you had ever seen this. Anyways, it just didn't make sense. You know?
So one of the biggest buttons, because obviously I get a lot of feedback, one of the biggest buttons that most rookies tell me is, what do I pay for a house? How much should I pay? I'm telling you this. Listen to me. You will not believe me because what are we doing, Peter? We're talking about the mindset of a millionaire real estate person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so before I even say this, if your thoughts were correct, the story you're telling yourself was correct, would you be a millionaire real estate owner?
Yeah. If you had your head on straight and aimed in the right direction, you should get there. Yeah.
So if you're not a millionaire from real estate, then you really need to qualify your thoughts.
Yeah.
And you can't say that I'm right or wrong because you're not a millionaire real estate owner or a multimillionaire.
That's reality.
Right? So my next statement, you can't poo-poo it, you can't reject it, you can't push it away, you can't say I'm right or wrong because you don't have what I have. Right? Price is irrelevant. If you stretch out the time to pay it off and concentrate on monthly cash flow, price is irrelevant. I was out back this morning because I'm renting a condo.
Yeah.
It's a condo. It's like an apartment. It's a pretty nice place. So I was out back, and I got up early this morning because I had to write some more of the podcast. And I'm out back on the deck, and I'm on the first floor, and I'm smoking a cigar, and I'm reading a book because I was all done. I was waiting, right? And there's a girl that comes out, right? Why am I telling the story? So I'm not sure why I'm telling the story.
Well, you're coming in from the price isn't important. It's like the whole story. Like, what are you going to make on it? Stretch the payments out, stretch the terms out.
Yeah.
That give you a clue?
No, I don't know why. Okay. So I'm smoking a cigar, and she said to me, she says, "Are you guys staying for the summer?" I'm like, "No, we're actually leaving this weekend." Oh, I know what it was. So I said to her, I said, geez, we used to live right over there. My wife and I had a place right across because it's right on the other side of the parking lot where we're staying.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I said, yeah. I said, isn't life funny? She goes, what do I mean? I said, I don't know. I think it was like 8 or 9 years ago. Not more than that. I said, and they offered us the unit for $72,000. And I'm like, I couldn't swing it at the time. I just didn't want to, because it was just one piece of real estate in Florida, and I lived in Connecticut, and it was $1,000 a month. And I'm like, She said, really? I said, yeah. She said, well, I bought my unit, which I think is upstairs from me, for in 2017 for $116. I said, really? She goes, yeah. And they just sold the one over there for $300.
Yeah.
So here's my point. Time changes everything.
Yeah.
Right. So I could have paid 72, right? And here it is 8 years later, and it's worth 300.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think it's worth too much money today, how much is it going to be worth in 2 years? And oh yeah, by the way, the swings, the economic swings, or the real estate market is usually 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We were talking about that last night in the call, right? So if you think you paid too much, or if you get stuck with it, if you set it up so you have cash flow
Mm-hmm.
and you could pay the bills, even if you break even, the market will readjust and it will come back up. So the mindset that you're paying too much is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
It's paying too much. You're paying too much if you were to buy it in July
Yeah. And
and then
sell it right away.
and then December the market crashed. Yeah. So you have to look at the buy and sell cycle. Is your buy and sell cycle a year,
Mm.
6 months, a year? Is it 5 years? Is it 10 years?
Yeah.
Is it 30 years? And when you start to stretch out those 30-year models and you start making offers like that, you realize that the price
Well,
doesn't matter.
it's hard to go wrong. I said this to you a year or two ago when I sold some of my properties. It was just the right, sellers market was the right time and just get a bunch of money and kind of like start again. But I said, boy, if you can just get your hands on a piece of property and you don't do anything stupid like overpay or try to sell it, whatever, and hang on to a little bit, how are you going to go wrong? Look at any statistics in America or the world. Show me any statistic where real estate's going down, down, down over time. Because inflation just inflates, and it's not like the property's becoming more valuable. It's just keeping up,
It's the
and
way
the
of life
price goes up.
because a gallon of gas used to be 25 cents. Now it's $3 and
Right.
25 cents.
But you can't do that with stocks because they go
Right.
up and down. They crash. The
Right.
company goes away.
The reason
You
why
can't do that with
you
many
can't do it
cars.
with
The car,
stocks is because stocks don't have the longevity we're talking about.
nope.
That's why. So
No
it's a
company can
good point.
shift.
Right.
Blockbuster is great when you're there. Like, who rents videos anymore? It's
Right.
Netflix. Yay! And then someday it'll be gone. Who needs that
Yeah.
anymore?
Yeah.
Anyway, but you need a place to live, and that will never go away.
So the most valuable thing to think of is money now, money. I'm sorry, money now, money monthly, money later.
Mhm.
That's the entire cycle. That's start, change, stop. That's the complete cycle of action. Start, money now,
Mhm.
change, money monthly, money later is stop.
Yep.
So you buy the property, you put somebody in there, you get deposit money, down payment money, option consideration money, 5, 10, 20, $30,000. Then you get money monthly. That would be like your profit on what you're paying and what you're renting for. That's
Mhm.
down payment assistance. That's money monthly, right?
Yep.
And money later, your tenant buyer gets a mortgage and they cash you out and they give you all your equity.
Yep.
Right? It encompasses the entire deal profits. So you can look at it from an exterior or an outside of the deal, outside of your life look, because you don't know what the future is going to bring.
Right. And you said something at least a year ago now, maybe a little bit more, working with all us guys and coaching people and us making comments and asking for questions, problem solving. And I think in my head, the summary is like, well, how much should I give for the house? And the question became, well, how much can you get?
Right.
And it's not just like you're selling a dozen eggs. It's a little more complicated than that because it's such a big thing. People don't just flip you $2. You need loans sometimes, you need payments sometimes. It stretches out. So you go, let me look down the road today, tomorrow, like what's going to come in from this? And that tells you what you can spend. What am I going to give? What am I going to get? And you adjust. And the number that looks bad could be like, that's worth it. Look at all we're going to get from it.
Right.
So, I mean,
it's kind of like
that solved a lot for me and a lot of people when that came through and you started having us look at the other end. Because I didn't know, like, I'm not sure if I can spend that much because I really wasn't familiar with what I could get because I hadn't done the process.
If you know how much you can sell it for, then it becomes easy on how much you can buy it for.
And I didn't have experience with that just to know, but you take a quick look at do some, oh, I see what I can get. And then you know what to do. It doesn't take long. It's not just from experience. You just do a little calculating, do some numbers, and
So this money now, money monthly, money later, it's been around. If you've been around me or been around us, you know this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that all makes sense, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this is all the pre I want to say the pre sequel. Is that right? No. Uh,
Like before the offer,
yeah. This is all. Everything we're
preliminary.
talking about is just before what I really want to cover
Okay.
because I haven't gotten over what I want to cover yet. So let's do that.
All right.
Okay. And it's shocking.
I mean, that was just a warm up.
Yeah, it's shocking.
Okay. Get out of the bullpen. Get up to the pitcher's mound. Let
Here we
us
go.
know.
So what if you had a minimal deal that looked like this?
Mm.
$5,000 now,
Mm.
$200 a month monthly. Is
Yeah.
that low, Peter?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous these days.
Yeah. I mean, if there were 10 of them or 5 of them, that's one thing. But if it's just one of them, it's not a lot of leeway in case you need money or repairs or something happens. It's not a lot of.
The reason why I say it's low, $200, is because I don't use, when I rent, I don't use Rentometer. I don't go by how much I can lease by. I don't do any of that.
Yeah.
What I do is I go by the mortgaged amount. So if I have a $200,000 house and you had to go get a mortgage today for $200,000, it's going to cost you $1,700.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the magic. This is why it's so beautiful. Right now is the best time to be in real estate in a long time because so many mortgages, especially when you take them over subject to, which means subject to the underlying uh, terms that the seller originally agreed to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's subject to the underlying term, the interest rate, the amount borrowed, the length, the delinquency, the fire, all that kind of stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
all that stuff, lien holders, all that stuff, right? So you're
Mhm.
taking over that loan subject to all of those agreements, right?
Yeah.
You buy a house that was purchased a few years ago, and it's got a 2.5% interest rate or a 3% interest rate,
Mm-hmm.
and they're paying $1,300 because when you figured $200,000 on a mortgage payment for 3%, it was $1,200. You take that same house that's worth $200,000 and you go sell it for its value of $200,000. Just keep everything the same, but now the interest rate is 7%.
Yeah.
So you're going to set your rental payment at the 7%. You pick up 4%. So you're paying $1,300. You're collecting $1,700. Right. So you're automatically making, just by pure math, you're making a severe gain. So that's why I say $200 monthly is very low.
Right. And all that is based on the fact that the buyer is going to have to pay that.
Right.
Because he's getting that mortgage. It's not like we're making up numbers or raising things artificial. That's what he has to
Yeah,
pay.
we're not selling interest like the banks or anything. Yeah, it's what he has to pay in today's
He
environment.
has to do that. We get lucky to buy something at a better rate, and I'm sorry, he has to pay. So we just did smart financing in the middle, so we can make some money once in a while.
So $5,000 down now, which is very low on a $200,000 house, but maybe on a $100,000 house is more. But $5,000 now, $200 monthly, and we'll say $15,000 in the back end. Yeah. Now, you know me and my deals. I do 40, 50, 60, $100,000 in the back end, but you're not me. So let's just pick a very sparse deal, very easy, mundane, easy deal.
Yep.
And you should be able to do this if you concentrate on making offers. Just put your attention on every morning when you wake up. You actually put your attention on, where can I make an offer today?
Mm-hmm.
The rest of it will align. You should be able to do this deal in about 10 hours.
Yep.
I mean, it's as easy as going on Facebook and looking for rental properties in Marketplace, and you just message 25 people a day this message: would you be willing to rent for a year or two and then sell it to me? Sooner or later, somebody's going to say yes. Sooner or later, you're going to get somebody on the phone, and sooner or later, you're going to make a deal. It's just that's how you find an offer. Do the same thing on Zillow. Do the same thing on apartments.com. Do the same thing on Craigslist. No, it's manual and it's hard work, and I would not want to do that right now. But I'm not. I would, if it was me, I would buy the software we have.
Yeah, you did worse things when you started. Way
Yeah.
worse.
Yep.
When I started with you, it was way worse.
Yep. So 10 hours a week. And oh, by the way, you're going to do all of this without landlord skills. Now, here we go. Ready? This is going to be mundane. Just give me the next 5 minutes because I'm going to prove my point smashingly.
Mm-hmm.
If you did this deal, the first month you would have money now of 5,000,
Yep.
money monthly at 200,
Mm-hmm.
money later at 1,500, and you would have
money later 15,000.
15,000. I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
And you would have a tax benefit of about $106.
Ah. Okay.
Month 2, you would have $5,000 because you would do another deal. You would have $400 monthly. You would have $15,000 later,
Mm-hmm.
and about a $212 tax benefit.
I've never heard you say the tax benefit like you knew the number. We always go to the accountant and figure out what happened. But that's pretty cool that you know that.
Yeah, it's a formula I found, right? So
Good.
Joe actually helped me with that. So month 3, you get $5,000 down now. Now you're up to $600 a month, monthly.
Mhm.
15,000 back in, right? And $318 in tax benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Month 4, 5,000. Then you're up to 1,300, right?
No,
15,000.
No, can't be. It's 200 a month.
I'm sorry, 800. I'm sorry, yeah.
800.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, yeah. So month 4 is 5,000 month, 5,000 now, 800 a month, 15,000 the back end. Just on this one house. I'm going to add it all up in a minute.
Yeah.
You got a $424 tax benefit.
Yep.
Month 5 is 5,000. Now you're up to 1,000 a month, and 530 in tax benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Month 6, 5,000 up front, 1,200 monthly, $636 in tax benefit. Month 7, you're up to 1,400 a month, $742 tax benefit. Month 8, 1,600 a month, $848 in tax benefit. Month 9 is 1,800 with a $951 tax benefit. Month 10 is 2,000 a month with a $1,060 tax benefit. Month 11, 2,200 a month, $1,166 tax benefit. Month 12, 2,400 a month, and $1,272 tax benefit. Once you have these 12 houses, in which, by the way, sometimes people do this in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people do this in 6 years. Sometimes it takes people 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference between 1 house, 0 houses, 1 houses, and 12 houses, Peter? I've already told you this today. What's the difference?
Your millionaire mindset.
Right. Which is what? What do I got to do today?
Make offers.
Right. So the only way you're going to get these 12 houses is by how many offers are you making?
Mm.
Because this is your bullseye. Oh, yeah, by the way, you're going to get that deal that's worth more than $200 a month.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, this would be minimal. You wouldn't do anything. I mean, these are low numbers.
Right.
But, if it's a low number like that, it's more likely you might get these little deals and not pass them up. So at least you get something. But then you got to get a normal deal, which is more like 10,000 and 400 a month and, more in the back end, just double basically.
Ready?
Yes.
Here are the totals.
At the end of the year.
For 12, if you did this one a month.
Mm.
Money now, 60,000.
Mm-hmm.
Money monthly, 15,600.
Yeah, when you add up each month by the end of the year, 50. Okay.
Money later, $180,000.
Mm-hmm.
Tax benefit, $8,268.
Adds up.
Now let's put year 2 onto that.
Uh-oh.
With the same math.
Mm.
You'd have these grand totals.
Mm-hmm.
Doing the same math. I don't have to go through month 1, month 2.
No, that's okay. We get the point. But at the end of 24 months, 2 years, we got
money monthly, 284,064. That's for 12 months. That's total money monthly for 24 months. That's 24 houses, 24 months.
okay.
$284,064. Money now. Money monthly, $26,800. Money later, 180 grand. For a total of 464,064.
Wait a minute, what was your total on the? It was 15,000 times 24 for the back end. I think you said 180. That sounded low.
Yeah.
Did I miss something?
Yeah, because yeah, I think that's right. So it's probably 360.
Yeah, because it's 15,000 times 24. That's pretty healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds more
So
like
it's more than 464 then, because I made a math error.
you add another 180 to that.
Yeah.
Nothing, not too shabby.
So what is your mindset? Is your mindset about getting one deal and trying to learn everything about that one deal and being a perfectionist about that one deal? Or should you think about money now, money monthly, money later in the future?
Yeah.
Stretch it in the future and work your way backwards. So if you woke up today and said, where can I make an offer? Because, oh yeah, by the way, how many of these do you need to do per month?
Well, that was one a month.
One. So if you made one offer a day for 5 days a week, that would be 20 offers. It's likely you would find this deal. One offer a day. One offer a day. One offer a day.
They don't have to be great. They just have to be, you have somebody on the phone, you work it out and you say, here's what I could do. He says yes,
Okay.
He says no.
Okay. So, Peter, you're always amazing. You walk into the next step. This is how I know I'm on the right track. You said, you don't have to be that great. Now, let's get into what if you improved just a little bit? Because as you're making offers, you're going to get better, right?
Yeah. I mean, to me, get the hell off. My first deal was a tiny little deal. I think I made $160 cash flow. It's a condo. Okay, fine. But had $400 principal increase every month. And I don't know what the tax benefit was, but I got something out of it. But 4 years later, I pulled 40 grand out of it, stuck in my pocket, and went running, because that was just the right way for me, it was the right
but
way.
Wait a minute. Yeah. So blah, blah, blah. Throw up on the 40 grand.
Yeah.
You sold it to somebody, a friend, and completely transformed his life. It was amazing.
Yep.
You gave him a killer deal because you could have made more than 40 grand. You gave him a killer deal, and that guy's still in there, and he was a permanent renter.
Yeah. He was a permanent renter in almost the ghetto of a nasty town.
And a landlord that was pouncing on him, causing him up, a roller coaster in his job, up and down, because he was constantly, with the landlord.
Yeah, and you have to leave because I want to renovate, and you have to leave. Like, thanks a lot. But he's in the country now, amongst the woods and the forest and the quiet, where turkeys walking around, sitting on his deck, smoking his cigarettes. Just calm as can be, and he just loves it.
And he paid $300 or $400 a month less than his rent.
It was better deal for his rent. Yeah. It's crazy. So I was happy. He was happy. How do you lose like that? But it was a tiny deal. I almost passed it up until Bill goes, if you don't want it, I'll take it. I said, no. When he starts saying that, no.
I was on a coaching call last night, and the guy, Jim, is like, he's all over me, right? He's kind of paused on coaching right now, but he called me, he's got a deal. And he's like, and he gets on the call last night. It's not the right place to do it, but he's trying to get my attention, right?
Yeah.
I got a deal in Hamden, he says. And he's like, my mentor this and my mentor that. And when he got all done, and he said, and my mentor would want to buy that house too. You want a fee for it? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So Monday, when I get home on Monday, I'm supposed to go look at this house in Hamden. So we'll see. Anyways, so let's talk about this. You can improve 100%, 75%,
Mm.
50%, 25%. How much would you know?
Mm.
So what would happen if we take the lowest number? We'll say 25%. It's not hard to improve 25%
Yeah.
when you're making an offer a day,
Hmm.
right? Now watch this. 25% would be 10% over or under market value, right? So if you were at 10% over or under market value,
yeah,
on your offers,
Mm.
your offer, if you improved your numbers, instead of being wait a minute, what did I do here? Oh, I understand now. So if you were making offers at 10% over or under market value, if you increased your offerability by 25%, now you would be at 12.5% over or under market value.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
25% would be money now. So if you were making 5,000 before, it goes to 6,250.
Right.
25% better for money monthly instead of 200 would now be 250.
Yep.
Okay. Now these are not major increments, right? Notice that these are not major milestones.
No, but I got another real example. One of the next deals I did, we did this one together, bought a 3-family, and in the cash flow was, we left it in the account most, but it was more like 500-600, and the equity was increasing about that much. And in the end, we sold that a year and a half later and made $90,000.
Right.
So how much better was that? Twice as gooder. So
Right.
I mean, these are real numbers. These are real things that I experienced. So you're not, folks. He's not making this shit up.
Yeah, it's math. Yeah.
Did he say shit?
So
No, he didn't.
yeah, money monthly goes from 200 to 250. Money later at 25% better. Money later would the 15,000 would go to 18,750.
Mm-hmm.
$18,750.
Mm-hmm.
Right. 25% better would mean instead of doing 12 deals in a year, you would do 15 deals in a year.
Mm-hmm. So more deals and more money. Oh boy, that really compounds.
So now let's do it again. So money monthly would be, instead of 5,000, would be 6,250.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm sorry. Money now would be 6,250 instead of 5,000.
Right. Instead of 200 a month.
So then the monthly would be 37.5.
You talk at the end of the year or two?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, because it's 24 months, right? So
yeah.
Equity. Now watch this. Now we have to take in consideration, which I wasn't talking before. You have two types of equity.
Mm-hmm.
You have $18,750 that you paid off.
Oh, on the loan.
And then $1,870 from the equity you originally had.
Right, because you bought it with equity. You bought it a little low, and we had equity technically in the property.
So where before we had $15,000 worth of equity, right?
Yeah.
And if you got 25% better, it would be $18,750 instead of $15,000.
Yeah.
But that $15,000, because you got 25% better, is now not only just $15,000 in equity, but you had payoff on your mortgage.
Yeah.
And because you were better, 25% better, that's an $18,000 number.
Yeah. Is there also a factor that you sold it better for a little bit more?
Absolutely, but I didn't do that math. But yeah, absolutely.
That's another variable that could kick it up. What's funny is you tweak each number a little bit, and you do the math in the end. A little more here, a little more there. It just adds up.
This is the $1 million real estate mindset.
You know what's different about people that are in better shape, and this is philosophical, and Bill and I study things like this, but a guy who's in crappy shape, let's be honest, you're just trying to get through the week or the month, maybe. When you're in better shape, you can look longer into the future. You can't do that if you're up against the wall, if your eyesight is 2 feet in front of your face. But when you have $1 million mindset, you can look into the future and play the long game, because you're going to get there. And then you wind up with these kind of numbers. I thought what you do with some houses. I remember when you had Bristol, and it was you didn't fix it. The rugs are like this. You didn't even have them straightened out. I'm going, geez, can we straighten the rugs? Somebody bought it the way it was. They took care of it. They fixed things up. And in the end, 3-4 years later, I think you made $60,000. No renovation.
Right.
And some people can't do that on a renovation.
Yeah.
But the capital gains were different because it wasn't all at once. It was stretched out. That was even less. I mean, everything.
So this is as Jay Connor would say, this is a writer downer.
He's from North Carolina.
So you should write this down.
Mm-hmm.
Plan the work and then work the plan. That's what we're doing. This is the $1 million real estate plan. Plan the work and then work the plan. Now, you do this 62.5 monthly, 37.50. 62.50 money down, 37.50 money monthly, 18.750, 18.750, and then $1,272 a month in tax benefit. It adds up at the end of 12 months to $93,750 money now, $56,250 money monthly, $281,250 in principal reduction.
Oh.
$281,000 in equity, which you originally bought it for, and $15,264 in tax benefit. So,
grand total, drum roll.
Money now is $450,330. Money monthly is $56,250. And money later is $281,250. I didn't do the principal reduction. That's a grand total of $731,580
in 2 years.
That's if you did just 25% better, because you're going to do that naturally. Now, Peter, $731,581 or $580. I would like to state that's buying an island type of money, buying your own island type of money. Do you agree?
Well, I'm sorry. I would love to buy an island. I'm just trying to get a condo on an island. I have done the numbers, but I'll believe you on that one. Yeah, $500,000. Yeah.
I know
you're right. I've seen some of those shows.
731,000 is $731,000.
Yeah, they do sell.
But it all so here's the thing is that most people are trying to make grand slams on one deal. What I'm telling you is to concentrate on how you can make an offer. I'm telling you to concentrate. I like to concentrate on subject to deals because that's the easiest way that you can make these type of deals, right? Subject to, but it doesn't matter. You just do these deals and use this math, because 5,000 now, 200 a month, and 15,000 in the back end is very doable. And what you do is you go in you need to go in on the habits of doing this. Make an offer. How do I make an offer today? Who do I make an offer to today? And then just work the plan. And the idea is not to get nervous or not to get anxiety and all that kind of stuff. If you just drill in your head, how do I make an offer a day? Right? Do you remember when we first started, I had that saying? Do you remember that day? An offer a day keeps the dead away.
Yeah. 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 I wasn't sure if you mean dead people, or then I realized you meant debt, but it was debt. Keeps the debt away.
Keeps the debt away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So this is why I'm telling you, the millionaire mindset is not anxious about the deal structuring. It's not anxious about where you're going to find the leads, because all that will happen as you go through the drill. The drill is, how do I make an offer a day? And then you just start working the plan. And if you make an offer a day, legitimately make an offer a day, at least 5 days a week, which means, by the way, you could make 5 offers on Friday and it would be the same thing.
Right.
Right. Or 5 offers on Sunday or Monday or whatever. You know what I mean? The idea is to make an offer. And oh yeah, by the way, there's 7 days a week, so you could do 7 days. In the beginning, I would. And the goal is to make 1 offer a day. The trick here is to train yourself of this habit and control only the things you can control. I want to lose 50 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Control only the things you can control. So what can I control? Well, first of all, I can control what goes in my mouth. I
And
don't have to
when?
eat sugar. Yeah, I don't have to eat sugar. I don't have to have meal portions too big. I can also control getting up in the morning and exercising for 15 minutes before I take a shower. I
Mm-hmm.
can also control, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about I need to lose 50 pounds. What is that saying? You eat an elephant one bite at a time,
Yeah.
right?
It's good to
So
have the goal, but you're not going to just create the goal. You have to create the steps towards it,
it's
and
we
habits.
did a podcast for a couple of years on always on New Year's Eve that goals are for losers,
Mhm.
right? And the reason why we did that is because it's not about the goals, it's about the habits.
Yeah.
And the habit should be, how do I get one offer a day? And then if you just naturally do that, these numbers I'm talking about will come to fruition. So maybe you don't buy a house the first month. Don't get distracted because the next month you might buy two.
Mhm.
Or in 4 months, you might buy three. Just do the habits. How do I make an offer a day? Even if your first offer is the worst offer ever,
Yep.
you'll get better at it. Then you'll get that. I did 25%. What happens if it's 30% or 35% or 50%? Or sooner or later, it'll be 100%. You're going to be better than when the first day you started.
Yeah, but
Right?
you can even just stumble on a better deal.
Yeah. If you
Just
make, if you outflow enough, you will find a deal. The universe abhors a vacuum. It hates a vacuum. So if you're outflowing and you're outflowing and you're outflowing, something has to come back because nature just doesn't allow that vacuum. If you're talking, sooner or later you have to stop and let somebody else talk. Otherwise, you'll feel a headache, you'll feel kind of yucky, you'll feel stomach ache, you'll be like, it's because you're too much of one flow, going out, going out, going out, nothing coming back in.
Mhm.
It's like if you keep going to the bathroom every day and never ate, after a while you'd stop going to the bathroom. You need inflow, right?
Yeah.
All right. Is that cool?
No, very, very cool.
Okay, so
Very
I'm
cool.
just going to run through this that I have written down because uh, I know this all sounds very magical, to some even impressive, but what do you do if you don't know anything or are struggling making deals?
Mm. Yeah.
Or have been studying but are confused about the deal flow or the steps you need to take and or make a deal. Maybe you're concerned with finding leads or motivated sellers.
Hmm.
Some may even worry about having the capital to get started
Yeah.
or how to offer the exact offer right now to your seller so they say yes. I know. Maybe you fret over doing all the paperwork or the documents. Perhaps you're worried about getting stung with a big, deep debt because you
Mm.
bought the wrong property, or worse, a lawsuit that you can't
Hmm.
afford.
Hmm.
Hell, maybe you're just worrying about how you will sell the house once you acquire it. After all, you don't want to get stuck with a property that's not making money, right?
No.
Okay. So I want to make a confession. I've never said this publicly, and I'm going to tell it to you right now. This is for real. This is me talking to you as if the microphone is not public because I want everybody to hear this. I've recently figured out that I personally am tired of, worn out by, overrun by, and completely smashed into the dirt about trying to help people buy and sell real estate. I do not want to train rookies anymore. It's too exhausting because of the stories they have in their head. I'm up against their myths and their belief system and their childhood, like their father beat them when they were a kid because they stole $10. So I decided I need to fix this. Now, this is something that is a decision I made a while ago, and it's rekindled. So I'm telling you this from the bottom of my heart on an open microphone. I created REI Reply, Creative REI Reply, to do that for me. So I don't have to do it one-on-one. I want to do it in a group. I want to do it to multiple people at once. So this software called Creative REI Reply is that. It's me teaching you all the stuff, all that stuff that I just told you. And I'm saying it now out loud because even though I've had this thought and this has been my aim, I didn't expect it to happen so fast.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect it to be so good. I didn't expect to have so many people get such fast results. I didn't expect that because I had been doing this and it had been a failed purpose for me because I couldn't get people to do it quickly enough. Yeah. And I would work with them and talk to them. So what I decided is I'd like to step up a notch. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know where I'm going to do this. I don't know even I have to create this. It's in the beginning stages. But I want to start dealing with people that have already got the basic knowledge of real estate so I can take them from doing 1 or 2 deals or 4 deals to 50 deals.
Yeah.
I want to take them, I want to make millionaires. And I can now do it because I can put them in my Creative REI Reply system and it will teach them the basics. I mean, Jesus Christ. We put leads in your system. We have automatic artificial intelligence that responds to the text for you. It makes you an appointment. You get on the phone, there's a calculator so you know which deal to do, right, wrong, or indifferent. You push a button, send them a memorandum while you're on the phone, and they sign it while you're on the phone. You push another button, it completely fills out all your documents for you. You do nothing. You just say, here, Mr. Seller, sign these documents, and you own the house. Then when you get all done with that, oh yeah, by the way, when you do that, every single deal has its own checklist. So if you're doing a subject to deal, there's a checklist with all the things you need to do step by step. And all the training videos are inside the platform on how to do it. When I built this, I had no idea how good it was. And I'm not bragging. It's just I'm at a point now where I've changed so many lives that I have to get in people's faces and tell them, if you want to do what we just talked about and you want to make them numbers, all you got to do is put up the money and start doing the system. It will do it for you every single day. It'll get you so you can make an offer. One guy in our system, and it's only in this AI, this automatic, it's only been out for a couple of weeks, 36 appointments. You think that guy's going to make some deals?
Mm-hmm.
He comes to work, which, by the way, you tell the system when you want to work. It comes to work. And you tell him when you want your appointments. And he makes a phone call, and that's all he does. He doesn't worry about finding the lead. He doesn't worry about the deal calculator is there for him. The paperwork's there for him. Everything is there for him. All he's got to do is he's got to set the system up, which we have support people, onboarding, all that stuff to help you. And he comes to work and he does a deal. But the mentality of that person that has 36 leads or 36 appointments is, how do I make an offer today? How do I make 2 offers today? Or how do I make 5 offers a day? That's the mentality. That's why he has that system. That's why he spent the money. That's why he is where he is. Because of that mentality. I get off my soapbox. Thank you, everybody, for listening to us today. Thank you for hearing me out and my personal feelings right now. I got a little carried away there. And make sure you go into the description and you click on the link. Make sure that there's a masterclass in there today. I put a masterclass that if you want to know about Creative REI Reply, it will show you. It will show you some training, and then you'll end up at the masterclass. Or just go to creativereireply.com. Make sure you watch the webinar because there's a bunch of discounts on the webinars. Get on my email list somehow, some way, flippinghousesforrookies.com. and we'll get you help or whatever you want. Make sure you subscribe to the channel wherever you're watching us or listening to us. Make sure you leave us a review. And if you need something, just go to support and we will help you. I'm done. You want to say anything before we hang up, Peter?
I sucked it all in, Bill, and I've been using the system myself, and I understand it. Folks, make a move.
Yep. Good. Have a good week. We'll talk to you next Thursday. Thank you for your support.